Good morning. It is a beautiful, sunshiny day. I'm over, just finished taking a walk at this riverfront park, kind of near where I live. It was gorgeous to smell the plants as I'm walking, to hear the birds as I'm walking. I didn't still myself enough to hear the water, but I feel like if I had, I could have dialed in and picked it out. I am a bit busy in my mind this morning, but this is a part of the process of practicing resilience, is enjoying and affirming what we do in the moment, extracting the most beauty out of it, and acknowledging that we have things to look forward to, because in time, naturally and gradually, we will be able to dial more into the things that really move our hearts and really let us feel connected to the earth around us, connected to other people, and emotionally connected to, not even just emotionally, but that idea of the felt sense, where it's a combination of the emotions, like the bodily sensations and the narratives, plus the more romantic, poetic, very personal, hard to put into words kind of sensations and inner reference points and connotations and correlations that we make to things, which, this kind of really deep felt sense or inner landscape or whatever other terms you want to use to describe it as. Being able to awaken this even deeper so that we have that connection along with the emotions. We have that connection to being alive, and in the end we have that connection to our bodies and to ourselves, affirming that we are good, what we experience is good, what we filter through our perceptions is good, that having a body is good. All these assumptions that it's really the only sane perspective to have. And by sane, I mean the only desirable perspective to have. There are definitely times when we opt, or maybe we don't opt, maybe we don't, like myself, I hadn't understood yet that I have the choice to perceive and affirm things in the way that I really want to. And for a while, how I really wanted to, honestly, it was affirming that it's bad to have a body, affirming that it's bad to be in the world, that the world is dangerous and not safe, and all these things. And those are, those are useful perspectives to have if that's the season of your life that you're truly in, and that is the way in which you can be authentic to your needs and finding the help that you need. And but I don't think that is a sustainable or desirable way to live by any means. I think that there's a place for it, and there are some people who that is their form, like the words that follow that kind of form, and the stance and the characterization in the world and the role that they play in order to help change society for the better. But for me personally, I have experienced that, and based on my own unique advantages and disadvantages, I have found that that's no longer the perceptions that are sane for me personally. My sanity, my baseline assumptions. Oh, I think my earphones just died. But for me, my sanity baseline assumptions are that it's good to have a body. It's good to be in this beautiful world with beautiful people. It's good to exist and be connected and to open myself up to feeling all these things. That those are the assumptions that are sane for me, which empower me to be my best self and to go after the goals that I care about and the lifestyles that move me emotionally and motivate me to be as healthy as I can be for myself and others so that I can reach those goals, you know? So, as I'm walking around this park this morning, I was really thinking about how a part of resilience, for me at least, is feeling into, and I talked about this the other day, but it's feeling into that sense of eternal humanity. Really feeling into that sense of I am, you know, not bound really tiny into the constraints of what it means to be alive today in the modern world and all the, you know, the, I don't know, the Diet Pepsi cans I see on the side of the road, or um, the ways that we organize our energy, you know, and being grateful for these ways that we can organize our energy, especially with things like cars and technology, but also acknowledging that in the scope of greater human history, that what all these technologies that we're experiencing are the very same to people in the future as it is for us to look back on horses and carriages, you know? So the tone in which we experience things, to feel into the eternal parts of humanity, the eternal parts um that aren't just like the status quo of the day, or not status quo, but like the expected normal things, you know, like horse-drawn carriages and, I don't know, beggars giving you a little lesson so you can pop a, a biscuit in their backpack, or like little basket or whatever, you know, like all those like kind of like old-timey historical ways that people have lived. It's the same exact thing as it is today. So just acknowledging to take use of whatever technology we have at the time, and also acknowledging those eternal parts of being human, that, you know, feeling connected to people of the past, to people of the future, and realizing that not only are we acting for the benefit of us today, but we're also acting in connection with people over time, over time spans, um, to help make the world a better and better place. And, you know, that is something that this sense that is very personal to us all, you know, the sense of like the kind of inner fantasy, the inner imagining, the inner felt sense and inner landscape, the way in which we perceive the world that helps us feel inspired and overwhelmed by beauty in the mundane, I think is an extremely essential part of resilience that I personally have definitely overlooked in many times in my life. And yeah, this sense of you know, it'll look different for everybody, and there are also crossovers and similarities. It's a lot of birds, lots of pigeons. Lots of crossovers and similarities with how, I don't know if you can see that, with how people like to experience things, um, and how they personally like to interpret things. I don't know why I'm so interested to show the pigeons. They're so cute. They're so smart and happy. So, for me, that felt sense, it looks like really feeling into that sense of being a primal, eternal human who, to balance out the fact that I'm very aware of being in the modern day and gratitude for technology, but feeling connected to the spirit of what it means to be a human being and really connected to ourselves and the planet. Um, literally like Earth, the planet, like physical Earth, nature. And remembering how small we are in all this and putting, emotions or worries into perspective. Um, that really helps me, and it's all kind of all it's connected to the same neural pathway or the chain of thought or whatever as being a primal eternal human. So, as I'm walking, imagining the same smells and sights and sounds I'm experiencing were the same ones that my ancestors, or like, all of our ancestors, our um, fellow human beings experienced um, throughout thousands of years, and just having a lot of admiration for that proof of how strong and resilient the human spirit is, that even without technology, without um, modern helping things, like stoves and showers and medicine and mouthwash and all this stuff, um, and access to information. Even without these things, like, humans have really thrived in many capacities and created spectacular things together, and really just throughout the thousands of years, just admiring human civilization, how far we've come in a pretty short amount of time, and how beautiful it is, the ways that people coped, the ways that people, you know all the added stress of all the extra germs and lack of medicine and just physical stress on the body, the ways in which people found these kind of social technologies, or cultural technologies rather, like spirituality, you know, and philosophy, and these things that it occupies the mind, the power of the mind to really let the body feel more relaxed and safe and secure through imagining the most beautiful things, and letting that be the primary focus, which drives us and encourages us and gives us belief in what's possible, rather than just being like, oh, I feel sick. I ate some mold spores on my potatoes the other day, and there's some modern medicine, and I didn't have a good way to store my potatoes, and I I had to eat a little bit of raw because my firewood was damp, so I couldn't cook the potato all the way. I don't know, things like that. Those kind of things that would have been a lot more common back in the old days, and just being like, they use the power of their mind amazingly to focus on their priorities and to feel safe and secure and to manage things. And honestly, I sometimes feel like that's a lot of pigeons. I sometimes feel like being in this modern day, how addictions are so common. For one, it's because it's much more easy and accessible to access to get a hold of substances, speaking specifically of substance-based addictions. But it's also, I think there's kind of this anxiety of not being taught, because it hasn't been as necessary as in the past, since we have had more comfort. We have had much more widely accessible, like, stability and lack of germs and all these things that keep us at a good baseline. Because of that, it hasn't been so much in the culture, the cultural technology around us, where we are taught and handed down how essential it is to focus on spirituality, to focus on visualization, to focus on powers of the mind and practices which retain what is most beautiful to us. That kind of perspective, which traditionally has been more, is handled by religions, or, in a mass sense by religions, or just spirituality in general. I feel like we haven't been as in tune with um, these things that are passed down in modern time, and so that means that we have more kind of excess creative energy, because we aren't using our creative energy towards the things that we are emotionally convicted will empower us to stay safe, to stay secure, to stay in trusting, loving communities, to stay with health and hope, and all these things. It's like, when we have been through more trying circumstances, as people did in the olden days, um that was much more common. It's just like an everyday part of their life. It's kind of like it's a part of the beauty of just humanness and human culture, that we have devised these ways to make use of our incredible powers of the mind to really feel, um, to tap into that safety and security and health and hope, no matter like what our physical body is up against. And so when that takes a lot of creative energy and focus and dedication. And I feel like in modern times, when we are disconnected from that can lead to a lot of addictions, a sense of emptiness, like disconnection from ourselves, from having to be like, it's kind of a life or death situation. Like, either we focus on beauty and positive affirmations and practicing the things that are dear to us and aligned with our values, and holding that close, and holding our loved ones close in the highest regard, where it's either that or just like suffering. And when you get to the point of experiencing enough suffering that you're like, oh, this just isn't, like, this is hell on earth. And then you start having the thoughts of, you start having the depression, you start having the just cynical, constant belief that being alive is not good. And so I think it's really, really important to be like, a part of these tools of resilience is using our creative energy, in ways that bring us beauty and hope. And we can feel that in our body. We feel that in our body, our mind, and our emotions. And sometimes it's just a matter of affirming, like, I feel good. I acknowledge everything is as it's meant to be, and I feel good about this. I affirm it. I give it the stamp of approval. Sometimes that's all we need to say. Other times we might have to get more creative with going through a process, going on a walk, or painting, or doing some kind of activity in order to feel good. But really, life should honestly be all about playing. And by playing, I mean managing our emotions so we continue to feel hopeful and excited and protective of beauty, and kind of these eternal human truths and values that keep us connected to one another and safe and secure and stable, and growing forward. And yeah, I think it's just so important to be like, during our mundane kind of everyday lives, what is this inner spiritual connection we have? What is that like, in order to really feel like we sink into the beauty and the profoundness of every moment, truly. um and just being able to feel gratitude is such a blessing, you know. I'm just amazed by human beings and how complex, how complex we're able to think and feel about things, and how different we all are from one another, and we all are playing a role, and the power that we have to play different roles based on our own inner convictions. And yeah, so that is just what is really on my mind today. This idea of how resilience is eternal. Being a human being, like, resilience is in all of us, just as a part of being a human being. And we can look back on the past historically for examples of ways that in different cultures, people have been able to, have these cultural technologies to maintain resilience, and also acknowledging where they didn't have some of the privileges that we have today. And so there are some things they maybe had to do in the past because they were under such extreme pressures that, we don't have to do today, such as these more harsh perspectives, because there's a lot of that too. um yeah, so I just really affirm for you that you will realize how resilient you truly are on, on an emotional level, where you feel connected to that eternal human spirit that is your birthright as a human being. And just, you know you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember now, that thing that we all know as children. And just instinctively we can know it, and then it can be difficult to try to find our way back to it through words, because often as adults we remember things through words. The words are kind of like a little bookmark in the huge expanse of our minds, where we're like, oh yeah, that page, and we can read down and see all the details that are orbiting that word, or chain of words. So yeah, I just really affirm for you that you will feel into your beauty, and that the fact that you can perceive and experience beauty is beautiful. And you have so much beauty in you, in the fabric of your being, as just existing as a human. And to really draw on this ability to perceive and feel connected to beauty as a way that you practice resilience and emotionally move on the things that are lovely, and really let you feel connected to the world around you and see things in the best possible light, the best hopeful light, because that is really what's going to allow you to, when you experience the turbulence of life, because there's always turbulence, it's what makes that turbulence just feel like a soft, gentle breeze instead of like an earthquake or something, like, yeah. So thank you so much for listening, and have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and I will talk soon. Take care. Bye. Oh, and I'm offering my resilience coaching. So I have in the description of this video my email address where you can email me if you're interested. And through coaching, my goal is just to help people remember how to be that coach to your own self and to have a basic mental model of the essential parts of resilience that we practice in order to continue building faith in ourselves, to feel certain, not be bogged down by analysis paralysis, to feel certain in our convictions, and also to realize we don't have to know everything in the moment. We only have to know, because I find a lot of things that are the opposite of resilience have to do with OCD type of thinking and just getting lost in our thoughts, which, we have to be able to affirm things. We have to be able to affirm this is the reality we want to experience in this moment. And we don't have to know everything like an encyclopedia for all of time, for everything about us. All we have to know is that we have these inner tools to handle any challenges because we perceive things. We choose to perceive things in the best way possible. We choose to love ourselves, surround ourselves with love, surround ourselves constantly with feeling and soaking up all the beauty around us, and to transform the quality of life we have in relationship with ourselves and other people by being consistent and persistent, and doing this through our inner coach, which is self-love. It's self-love, and it is just affirming these beautiful, beautiful things. And I think especially, as recovered people, you can identify as recovered in any moment that you wish. As recovered people, it's especially important to take this really abundant and kind of luxurious feeling mindset, because that is the emotional reassurance that gives us faith that we are in control of our lives, even if it's only the way in which we feel things, and that our perspective matters, and that while other people have other perspectives that might work for them fine in the moment, we understand ourselves, our emotions, our thoughts, our bodily sensations, and we understand what perspectives matter for us. So I find that component of feeling in control and being able to self-affirm and stick to one conviction, one perspective that we know is right for us, and not, be this kind of theoretical analysis paralysis. I guess in a theoretical world, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's okay for not everything to make sense to us and work for us in this moment, this phase of our lives emotionally, because we have to take a consistent, persistent stance and perspective in order to be move through this particular phase of our personal life. And that doesn't mean anyone else is wrong necessarily. It just means that it's right for them, not right for us. So yeah, these are all components of resilience that I have learned and that have really transformed my everyday way of life, my everyday thoughts and feelings, my everyday hope for the future. And yeah, I'm extremely grateful to all the people on the internet who I've learned these things from. I don't know where I would be without the internet, honestly. And I just want to kind of keep on spreading that little daisy chain of supporting one another as human beings on this planet. So yeah, alongside my videos here where I talk about what I care about, my coaching is also oh, it's a really cute doggy. My coaching is also open, and yeah, I just really hope to be able to help you have opportunities to build that self-trust by affirming that you can be consistent and persistent and have responsibilities that you, self-determined responsibilities that you succeed in, and that these tools, these resilient skills, they actually work to allow you to move through these small, you gotta start small goals that you set for yourself at first, just to build that confidence. And remember, you can trust yourself. And, um, so I offer accountability as a part of coaching. And I also offer reflections, or reflection prompts for you to, just have something you don't have to think about, don't have to worry about, but you're able to reflect more on your dreams, your desires, your feelings, just the status quo of things, just so you can acknowledge, this is what everything is, and this is how I'm going to mentally organize myself, so I know how to choose a perspective in each situation, so I don't have to be sitting here and worry and fear and terror of the future. I just have that faith in myself that any challenge I can overcome, because I know beforehand the perspectives that I can take, in order to um, continue feeling good and hopeful through anything that might happen. So anyway, yeah, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and thank you for listening. Take care.